All right. Okay, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone from everywhere you are. All right.
Hello.
My name is Desmond. Okay, so thank you for joining to this conversation today. All right, let me just lay some ground rules. Right, please do keep your mics on mute, right, and your cameras off, right, at this point in time, okay, because we are starting the conversation. Okay, so let me first very welcome all of you, right, to this panel discussion on the future of learning, right, leveraging learning management systems and AI. Okay, so this is in conversation with Dr. Sharanya, right, and Jin, right, who are both data scientists at Exaltius. Okay, so Dr. Sharanya, who is a senior data scientist, and Jin, who is a data scientist. Okay, so maybe can I get Dr. Sharanya and Jin to turn on your cameras, please? Okay, so thank you. Right, so for this session today, right, we would have a small time, right, of getting a sensing of their thoughts behind what is the future of learning, okay, and how can we leverage, right, learning management system and AI. Okay, and the main idea here is this. Okay, so learning management systems have been around, right, for a long time, and it's been a crucial tool for all students, right, and teachers, right, being that it is a medium of communication for materials and even assessments itself. Okay, however, at this stage right now, we do have a shift, right, that is happening in the industry. Okay, in fact, it's actually happening across all industries with the advent of AI. So AI has been around since 2015 and even longer, right? But however, the latest and greatest that we do here really has started from 2015 onwards. Okay, so at this point in time, okay, specifically now, we have deep learning and generative AI, and we are on the cusp, right, of a revolution. And there is an explosion, right, of AI to come. Okay, and we really want to get a sensing and understanding of how learning and instructional design, right, would change with these new things. Okay, so this discussion, right, that we will have today is meant to break some new ground, right, and peel back, right, some of the noise out there with the focus on learning management system and how AI is changing it. Okay, so thank you everyone once again for joining in today. All right, maybe now let me just get some of our speakers, right? Our speakers will say something, right? So we can get a sensing, and lay the groundwork for the discussion ahead. So may I get Dr. Sharanya first, please, right, to be able to share with us some insight, on the journey that you have.
Jasmine, good evening, good afternoon to everybody from wherever you're joining, Jasmine said. Thank you so much for being here and being part of this journey to uncover, discover, and maybe even answer a few questions if you have in your mind, right? So yes, future of learning, leveraging LMS and AI. So that's the topic today. But before we get into the future, I would like to share the history of learning and my experience being a student, both in university, my PhD, and being a professional trainer right now. So my journey towards learning has been, it was more like an evolution. It is already happening, and we are, like Desmond actually mentioned, we are at the cusp. We are at the juncture where things are changing drastically. So just to give you a brief understanding, I know that most of you have come from or are still part of the traditional learning where, we have certain topics to learn and, you're given certain things to memorize, remember, right? From there, we've moved on to, an era where it's fine. Everything is available online. Like, you go on Google, Google is going to give you some responses. You don't need to remember things. You don't need to remember formulae. You don't need to remember, derivations, etc. But why are we learning all these things? Some of you might have this question in mind, right? When things are all around us, why are we learning? Why is there a need to learn, right? So, I, as a student myself, right from my undergrad, so I've had the experience to learn in different environments. I've learned in the US. I've been a student in Malaysia. So I have been through different structures of learning, right? So India, it was more of rote memory where you are asked to memorize many things and bring it out in your assessments. Whereas in US, it's more application oriented, right? So the entire journey was completely different. I was well sometimes in when you were in your school or undergrad, you think, why are we learning calculus? Why are we learning algebra? Where am I ever going to use this? Right? Whereas when I went to the US, it was like mind-boggling to see how people did care about whether you remembered the formula for ANOVA or ANCOVA. How do you get the statistics done? No, nobody really cared about whether you knew the formula. But were you able to interpret what you get out of your results? That was more application oriented. Right from there, when I was in Malaysia, I had the opportunity to do my PhD, where it was research involved and it was brand new topic to the entire university. So I had to go from scratch. I had no support, and how you learn from the trust and the basic is something new, right? So that when you are pushed to that kind of a environment, how do you come up? How do you learn? What are the tools you use to learn, right? So of course, a person who has done PhD 30, 40 years back, you see their paper versus what you see right now, right? You might think, oh, doing research right now is so easy. You go on ChatGPT or you go online, you see many of these tools available. They can give you all the answers, but it is still a new research, right? So it is still a new research and a new topic, right? So it's absolutely new for even ChatGPT. So what is happening with AI these days, right? AI is having information gathered from different sources given to you. So you ask a question online, you ask a question to Google. Where is it fetching information from? From someone who's already done that study, someone who's already done the research, is putting it in a repository and giving it to you. Whereas when you're doing a research, so sometimes there are questions where you think, okay, is there even a need to do PhD? Does someone, there's AI doing things for you. Is there a need to do new research? Right? That could be a question. But yes, of course, because all you get through AI is what you teach AI, what it is learning from the environment, right? But your research is going to be absolutely new. They don't know about it yet, right? So yes, you do need a brain. You do need a human brain to start to think in those lines. You need someone to make these new discoveries, right? Very interestingly, there was actually a study in Japan around the year 2016. So they actually tested a robot, right? They gave the same assessment that they gave their students. I think this was in the school level. So they tested the children with a certain assessment, and they tested the robot with the same assessment. And interestingly, they saw that the robot did 80% better than most of us. So does that mean the students are dumb and the robot is better? No. You should think about the fact that, are we really training the students in the right way? Are we training the students to think like a robot and talk, bring out the answers? Or should we start thinking about training the students to do something that robots cannot do? Right. So these days, there's more emphasis on, gone are the days where we're already moving to a phase where it's no more application oriented. It's more about innovation oriented. They want new ideas to come up, right? Already things are being applied. Now, newer ideas, newer thoughts needs to come. So that's where I think AI is going to be really leveraging here, because it's going to help and in assisting new learners to forget about the mundane things to remember, things that can be done by robots, need not be redone by the students. Maybe they should come up with things. Maybe they can use their resources to come up with newer ideas and newer solutions to, whatever the topic is, whatever the field is. Right? I think that's where we are heading towards. And of course, LMS, learning management systems, are going to be a huge aid in that sense, because be it a professional trainer. So I'm being a trainer, I need to grade students. I need to do some of the admin work. Now, this hinders my chance to, teach and, talk about topics that are going to be very, very intriguing, because I spend half my time in these admin activities. But whereas when an LMS can actually take over all those kind of work, I can focus on giving the best to my trainees, right? So even my son, right? My son is in grade 5 right now, right? His learning is so much different from what I was learning. So the way I have to teach him, the way I have to sit with him, so it's more game oriented, gamification of the tasks, right? If it's going to be learning his mother tongue, right? If there's a little game that talks about it, he finds it more interesting to learn than making him sit and memorize the meaning and the opposites and things like that. Things are changing, right? And of course, people are not having the patience like they used to. So sitting in front of the system or sitting in the class for an hour or 2 hours, not happening. People are losing their patience level as well. So, having short bursts of learning is, another evolution of learning. Making short bursts, like within the small span of their attention, trying to get them to learn something new is also a new tactic, I think, which can be leveraged through LMS, because LMS can probably pop in these trivias and little videos in between their work time, even if it's someone who's learning, upskilling themselves. It need not be a university student. It could be someone, a working professional, right? It's kind of little, it's interesting to see these things evolve, right? And like any evolution, I think we need to embrace it together instead of resisting it and being scared of it. Yes, of course, there's going to be a lot of pitfalls, which probably we can all discuss shortly. But I think it will be a good thing to leverage and work together instead of being afraid of it, and welcome the change. I think change is something that is permanent, right? Change is always going to be there. So I think that's where we are right now. So I think maybe we can hear something more from Jin about how things we can do further.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sharanya. Okay, so just to give a little background for people who are listening in, so Dr. Sharanya is a experienced trainer and someone who is training specifically in data science as well. So the main idea here is this: so she has vast experience in data science, but is also someone who leverages and makes use quite a fair bit number of learning management systems, and even has gone through the entire process of using them. So I think that is very insightful, right, Dr. Sharanya? So I think maybe now let me just move on and ask Jin maybe to say a few words. So Jin is actually a data scientist who has experience in trying to ensure how AI can be made use of, right, in terms of enabling the people to learn better and enabling trainers and teachers to teach better. So I think Jin, could you share with us just a little bit more on this topic itself?
Hi everyone, I'm Jin. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Thanks Desmond for that intro. I think similar to quite a few students we have in the Exordius Academy, I came as a mid-career switch professional into the data science field. So that's where I'm coming from in my perspective, and also with my previous role as a data analyst, I looked at a couple of LMS systems, helped with the LMS migration. That provides me a couple of insights I'd like to sort of share with you on the current landscape, especially with the this explosion of large language models in this landscape, and being able to leverage that in AI as well. So yeah, I think in this advancement in AI, we have a potential to contextualize learning, definitely to students, their strengths and weaknesses. For mid-career switch people like myself, they will come into our courses with different skill sets that we need to acknowledge and be able to recommend the most relevant courses and meet them at the life stage that they're at, help them fill up the learning gaps that do appear when in the profession that they are trying to break into or to upskill into. A couple of ways that AI also can help in this area is by in the area of like smart teaching assistants or personal tutors. So we can help learners with micro-learnings to be able to stay on top of the syllabus if they do fall behind the main delivery methods. This is able to adapt content to their specific needs, and also through assessment preparations as well, to help them to review tests and the knowledge as well. I think with advancements in AI, it also helps in opening up avenues of collaboration. I know we do have students coming from most of Asia, and with AI-empowered translation tools that are able to deliver real-time translation and transcription that will allow us to be able to leverage on our current educational content and to be able to deliver this to different contexts around Asia and breach language barriers as well. So yeah, trying to build on what Sharnia shared, I think we don't have to fear AI. If we don't have to fear the change, I think we have to embrace it as it comes. It's meant to augment teachers. It's not. It's definitely not at that stage or will ever replace teachers. It will never be able to replicate the empathy, emotional support, or individualized guidance that our teachers provide. We still need a human to be able to design instructional strategies, to design a syllabus, to address learning objectives, and to account for the diverse learning needs of a cohort, and also to provide timely real-time feedback. So you could view AI as a smart assistant that you could leave a sort of the mundane, routine, administrative task to. And one of the ways you can make use of it is to be able to collect and compile insights on your students sort of in the background. So this is actually coming from like a case study that Stanford put forward. They found that learning outcomes were actually improved when an automated feedback system was introduced into classrooms, and they trained teachers to be able to use this. So what happens is it allows them to do background monitoring of the classroom. There's no break in their content delivery. There's no surveys that are going out. So what they did is transcribe conversations within the classroom, and they were able to provide useful statistics on the amount of time that the teacher was spent talking, and the classroom engagement as well, the amount of time that the students were talking. And what they were able to track as well, because of transcription, is the times when the teachers were able to bring in the student ideas and develop on that, and that showed buy-in and continued classroom engagement, and showed that they understood the content. So at the end of the class, what the teacher received was a breakdown of this analysis, the percentage of time that the students were engaged with talking, and the topics that arose in the conversations, and the ideas that were talked about and generated. So that can be all done in the background without you having a teaching assistant or somebody doing a post survey or interrupting the flow of instructional teaching. So I thought that was really cool. And so further on, I think especially in this new environment where things are the world's information is available at your fingertips, even more so than Google. Now it's more intelligent search with ChatGPT, where it's able to sort of understand and recommend points of views or the world's information at your fingertips. I think we have to focus on like 21st century skills that are still very much relevant. Critical thinking, I think that can't be left to machines alone. They're not at the stage to be able to assess, interpret, and apply the information from diverse sources. Problem-solving skills are still very much in demand. You still need to be able to discern, identify and define complex problems. LLMs or ChatGPT might be able to provide you with some solutions to specific problems, but you have to define the problem in the first place for it to be able to provide you with a legible and usable, applicable response to it. Creativity, although you've seen like maybe some of the stable diffusion models putting out this creative works and stuff, I think humans still have to lead the way in creativity in the way that they can't really generate truly novel ideas on its own at the moment, I think. And to be able to connect the dots and integrate disparate concepts into a working solution, I think that's where we can leverage on AI in our daily work as well. And some of the emotional intelligence and continuing to be able to work in the workforce of tomorrow to be able to collaborate and relate to each other. I think these human skills still need to be a focus in the new learning paradigm. And so part of embracing change and transformation that we keep talking about is to stay informed of the developments. Don't be disconnected or fear it too much. I think there is an opportunity to join the conversation at the moment especially in addressing the safe use of AI and these technologies, especially in the educational setting. It's not a finished product at the moment. I think that there's a lot of work that still needs to go on to continue to help it with malicious content or to fact checking it and those areas as well. Yeah, so maybe I'll just end off here with how my learning process personally has adapted with the explosion of these tools nowadays. As an adult learner, there's a huge or steep learning curve in coming to the role, especially with now GPT and powered tools. It's definitely made looking up topics and acquiring new knowledge a bit more targeted. So I can easily get a summarization and focus on topics that help me in delivering up my business use cases for my work, and provides me with especially in the coding aspect, instant feedback on where I'm going with my coding as well. So what I look forward to in the months ahead with this explosion and this exciting time of AI is possibly greater autonomy over my personal information, what I can share to AI tools, and also advances in like the multimodal space where generative AI is being used, so that it's able to create more dynamic and adaptive content for learner profiles, and that's what I'm really excited about. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jin. All right, so I think that was really interesting to hear, especially on some of the learning paradigm shift that we are experiencing. So I think at this point in time, as I would continue the discussion, I would also open the floor to questions. Right? So for anyone that do have questions, please feel free, right, to post them in chat. We would try to address them, as we go through. Okay, so maybe, all right, as a point of discussion, okay, what I'll do first, right, is kind of ask a few questions, all right, and we will continue. So maybe for Dr. Sharanya, so with your experience, right, as someone who is in training, all right, and is teaching data science and also knows data science. Okay, so I would like to ask, from what you have taught, where do you see, right, is the problem, right, with teaching now, right, for example, that you think AI can potentially help out?
Been training in different settings, both in university and in the corporate settings. So what I think what is a potential problem is, the task of actually getting them to get out of the, this traditional way of learning, in the sense that, okay, even now when I have adult learners in classes, they ask me, oh, how is my exam? Do I have to study? What are the topics that are important for me to learn so that I can answer the question correctly? So they are, I mean, it's actually imbibed in the DNA that, you need to learn something, you need to write an exam, pass it, and finish, right? The whole concept of getting the the base topic understanding is, that's something need to be evolved. I think it's kind of mixed in the DNA of learning, throughout the entire, like from your kindergarten till your university. It's question answer. Okay. So that needs to be breaking. And this system, first of all, needs to be changed. So where I would say that, people need to, even now, lately, especially in the recent times since ChatGPT came in, I've been talking about, so even when I'm teaching Python, right, it's a programming language. If you go right into ChatGPT, say, give me a code that can give me, all the Fibonacci series numbers, it's going to give me the code. So what I tell my learners these days is, it's, we have tools to write code for you. But do you have the skill to look at that code and understand the code and see where you can make changes according to what you want? Are you able to ask the right question to come up with the solution? So I think what everybody needs to learn right now is to ask the right question. So even in a school scenario, if I know I had faced this with my child as well, right? When they were given the chance to go for a field trip to the butterfly park, right? Everybody went back home to do their own research on, what is a butterfly park? What can I see there? The questions that each of them asked. One asked, okay, tell me a joke about butterfly. One asked, what is the life cycle of a butterfly? One asks, what are the different colors on the butterfly? So you see there's a difference in the questions, right? And which question is going to teach the child and which question is not going to teach much about it, right? So asking the right question is something that you need to take in these days, especially with ChatGPT. I think you need to have the knowledge to ask the questions such that you get the relevant answers and you can do research on it.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Thank you for that. So maybe just a follow-up question. So, you mentioned that, we need to ask the right questions, and we need to be able, right, to, figure out, by doing some research as well. So, in saying that as well, as someone who is a trainer, right, or someone who potentially, teaches people in AI as well, and, and some of the many various topics that you have. Okay, when we talk about asking the right questions, maybe I just want to figure out, is it instructional design, right, that can be better, right, or can AI really help, the trainer to be able to potentially even predict the right questions for the learners in the first place?
Yes, I think AI can be a great assistant in trying to lead you towards the right question. Right? Sometimes AI, you ask, the AI can can give you the list of questions that you could ask. It could be the exact question that can lead you to your research, but sometimes these questions can trigger your mind to think in those lines. Right? It can be an assistive guide. It could be a guide towards going towards, to your answer. Because most of these questions could be questions that have been already answered. But, a combination of them can lead you to the right question and could be like an assistant towards that, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharanya. Jin, so maybe to follow up on what you mentioned just a little bit earlier, all right, on the automated feedback system that you mentioned with, that you saw with Stanford itself. So I'm just wondering, okay, would this be integrated into a learning management system, or does it have to be, more like a research, from a research point of view?
Yeah, I think it's definitely ready for implementation. I think with the study they did it with a couple of schools within the country and collated feedback on that. And across the board, the results were positive. Learning outcomes and student performances noticeably went up with those groups. It's probably leveraging on a lot of existing technologies prevalent. You need a live feed from the classroom, and with that going into a machine learning model to be able to do transcription and to predict what percentage of students are engaged and what topics are being covered with. So all of the technologies that work in that product are already available and ready to be integrated into a learning management system, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Jin. So actually, maybe I just want to pull from a question from the crowd. So from the crowd, we do have a question that says, why AI is, maybe let me just paraphrase, why AI is helping to lose, right, the job of coders, or why AI is losing, right, to coders per se. For Jin.
I don't think it's going to completely replace coders. I think there is still a need to translate business use cases into working code to be able to come out with the objectives and what this technology is meant to achieve, the use case itself, and the value proposition for it. So AI is definitely going to be helpful as a tool for coders to build this infrastructure, or to and to put in, like you mentioned, Python or your preferred programming language. It's definitely going to power coders. I don't see it as taking jobs away. It's probably going to be get you to pushing out your product to production quicker, I would say. In this current landscape.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so before I move on to the next question from the crowd, maybe I'll just ask a little bit more to Dr. Sharanya. So, Dr. Sharanya, you mentioned this just now. We talked about gamification and also bite-sized learning itself. So I think herein lies a pretty interesting topic. So the question here is this: for these two things that we have mentioned, how, right, can AI, right, play a part, and how is AI already playing a part, right, in people's learning?
Yeah. So, like I said, right? So AI these days, in fact, I would say that in the last few years itself, right from AI being, the tools that can edit your thesis, etc. Right. So the AI has been there from that period itself. So I would say that so it would be a great assistant to teachers, in the sense that, maybe like, the way that the students are assessed, right? The way the students are assessed, it need not be the traditional question and answer. It could be a little bit of a game, right? It can help. It can help with the teachers with doing all these primary jobs, like maybe setting up. They can plan the coursework, they can plan the lesson and things like that. But the AI could take up the role of being a TA. That usually teachers have these teaching assistants, a physical person. I think AI can take that role now, where you know these days, everybody, most of them are in a nuclear family. They all have one child. Everybody wants that child to get all the attention. In a classroom sizes have also been increased. One has to take care of so many, right? So it is impossible to give that one-on-one kind of you know, interaction. I think AI can jump in that sense. So AI be this, extra person that can give this one-on-one assistance when the teacher is not able to face the child or face the trainee per se, no matter what. It could be in a university as well. So that could be one case where how the assistant, as an assistant, AI could be of help. Right. And of course, well, like you said, the gamification, that's one way of assessing. So it can actually make it quite interesting. Instead of having a grade to it, it can be like a score, right? Maybe there's a group working on it. It could be a score. Maybe, there's a leaderboard and things like that. People can actually see how their peers are doing, how they are doing. And it could be a continuous assessment instead of a year-end assessment. Right. So that is something that it's already evolving, and that's something that AI is doing great in that sense.
Thank you so much for that. So I think just to add on to that question, and maybe I'll direct this question to Jin. So with AI, right, being the assistant, right, as that Sharanya has mentioned, I'm just wondering, with that gamification score and so on, how do we then assess, someone's capabilities, right, in this new age itself? Because when everybody's has information, right, at their fingertips, right, how can we assess someone, right, for better knowledge, right? And how do we know whether they are really equipped, right, with the techniques and skills that we have potentially taught them? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Desmond. I think especially with the compute power that we have nowadays, we are able to leverage on a couple of stats powered tools, definitely to make these calculations a lot faster to help in assessing a student competency more accurately and quicker. So some of the techniques like classic test theory, item response theory, and Engdorf theory, those can be computed in real time and provide scores. And so how that works is it allows you to score a student based on questions suited to their difficulty or their current level of understanding or competency. And so what that does is you're able to then work out where they are using a fewer number of questions. So for example, if a traditional test is going to take you maybe 50 to 20 to 50 questions, you could probably do a category or test a subject, for example, stats for machine learning or Python programming in maybe 5 to 10 questions. So that drastically reduces the processing time for that. And also what AI is able to do is to help you with marking these assignments, and that saves a lot of time for the trainer to sort of concentrate on actual teaching and frees them up to do more important tasks. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So it sounds like, we are walking towards a future whereby AI is really not just an assistant, right? AI is also someone that can, some tool that can help us in holistically assessing, right, our learners, right, and the students itself. So I'm just wondering, right, from Dr. Sharanya, with this idea, right, of holistic assessment, okay, and this idea, of AI being, this tool which is our assistant itself, how can it, help, right, potentially in something like instructional design, right, with you as a trainer wanting to give out better tools, right, and even better learning materials.
Yeah. So this is where I think um, a real-time assessment of students, we say, in the sense that giving them more customized materials. So understanding the students' needs at different points. I think AI can help in that sense because to gauge them, because every learner learns at their own pace. It's not one medicine for all. So with that in mind, I think AI can help customize learning materials, giving them learning materials or giving them assistance, like specifically for a trainer. So what one trainee gets might not be given to another trainee because it's specifically for them. So it is designed, and this could be helpful for the trainer as well because the trainer also gets some kind of a idea about who their audience is and what they need to emphasize in the subsequent training sessions. So if you think that some trainees are lagging behind in certain topics, it could help them maybe revisit that in a different way and help them understand better and gain the knowledge in a much better way.
Thank you so much for that. I think maybe just ask, so from the audience itself, we do have a question. Maybe I'll just post it for Jin. So specifically, right, for digital marketing, right? So in business automation tools, right, AI, how does AI play a role in this?
Okay, so for digital marketing, the question is posed about whether it's going to replace humans in digital marketing, or is that how it would work in a process, sort of help the digital marketing?
I think we can probably look at it from a mix of both.
Okay, sure. So I'll address the first one. So I think with generative AI and GPT models in general, I think they're good in providing a good base for you to start generate ideas right towards a certain tone, targeted audience that you like. But it still requires a human editor to go in and check for the tone, check for the accuracy of the information, and sort of adapt it for cultural nuances that might come up depending on your target market. Because it might work for a Western audience, but it might be that the messaging needs to change, the tone needs to change a little bit for Asian audiences. So those are the things that human editor has to sort of come in to fact check the copy and also look out for the tone of that. So I don't think it's going to be replaced. Somebody still needs to do proofreading or editing for that. Yeah, so in automating the process for it, I think generative AI is really good at the sort of brainstorming phase, possibly to come up with ideas, to set possibly a skeleton content together for you to start filling in. So as people, if you guys probably have used ChatGPT, it's best if you engage it in conversation and build on the answers so that it knows more about your audience, it knows more about what you're trying to do, objectives, and it's able to provide a more intelligent answer outcome at the end of it. So it's more a tool that you use throughout the process. Obviously, you could build an automation tool to receive inputs from your marketing team at specific points. If you have a very specific template that works well for your company, that can be put into production, that can be worked on as an in-house application of some sort. And then finally, you can just edit the final copy, if you like, and see which marketing distribution channels it's meant to go out to. So that still needs human supervision. It's not going to be fully automated, but yeah, it really depends on your context and type of marketing that you wish to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that. So maybe I'll just help answer the next question. It says, does AI provide 100% accurate code? The answer is not yet, okay, but it is definitely going there. Okay, so I think maybe just to really dive just a little bit deeper, right, into the idea that learners these days and students these days, right, will probably have to change. Right, with AI, right, changes are going to be the norm. The way we learn, right, the way we will continue to evolve learning as well. Okay, so I think Sharon, what caught me just now, in your statement, you mentioned that we are now going to be innovation oriented, right? You mentioned that. So what does it mean, right, to be innovation oriented, and what does it mean to be a student, right, who is potentially someone who is in school, right, still schooling, who is probably trying to head towards a college education, and someone who is in continuing education itself. So what is the difference, what does it mean for these two groups of people?
So any environment, be it a school or university or in much higher education or in your workplace as well, right? You are given the opportunity to know the concepts. Okay, that's one level. Next, where these concepts can be applied. That is the application. Right? Now I know the concepts, I know the applications. Now, what kind of questions can I answer with this application is where innovation comes in. Right? What are some new questions? That's where I go back to where I said asking the right questions. You need to, even if you get into an interview these days, right? At the end of the interview, when the HR talks to each other about the candidate, there'll be one statement. They say, hey, he asked the right questions, right? Asking the right questions, newer questions to, bring out new solutions or new product is something what every section, be it school, be it university, be it work, this is where everybody is heading towards. You know the concept, where it's applied, but what can I do more with it? So that's where innovation comes in mind. So it's happening even in school levels, right? I think the secondary level, children are asked to enter into these kind of innovation competitions where they come up with new ideas, new technology. It doesn't have to be just technology. It could be anything. It could be even biological sciences, or you bring up, new ways of growing something. It could be any topic, but can you bring up something new that hasn't happened yet? So that's where we are all heading towards. That's what we are, the education system is moving towards.
Awesome, right? Thank you for that. So maybe for the next question, right, I'll post it over to Jin, right, from the audience itself. Okay, how can AI and learning management systems, right, reduce plagiarism?
Okay, thanks for the question. I think with the how capable ChatGPT is and large language models, it can quickly discern where a piece of text has been taken from. And with some benchmarking tools, it's able to work out if that infringes on the plagiarism condition of the university or copyright laws as well. So that's, I think, in place in quite a number of universities already. I think that there's a checker when you submit assignments. The trouble with that is it's maybe Sharita can share her experience with her students in having to get past this tool that our educational partners have put in. Yeah.
Actually, I've had a couple of students who actually faced this problem when they were writing their thesis. Though their sentences were original, right? You know, it was their own research. They were writing the sentence when they ran it on this checker. So there's two checkers. One is the plagiarism checker, and recent addition to this checker is the AI checker. So it checks if there was AI involved in writing this thesis. So unfortunately, though it was their original work, it kept picking up AI, right? So they had to modify it in, many times to, because of course, until they get that 0% AI, they can't even submit it, right? So these are some pitfalls, I could say, some speed bumps with AI.
Yeah, I think with any new technology, it's going to take a while for them to get to a more stable phase, because I think in the initial implementations, there probably needs to be some feedback and improvement before it gets it right completely. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that.
Okay, right. Thank you so much. So I think this is open to both of you, right? The next question is, right, so as some countries are more technologically advanced, right, than others, how do you think, right, AI can be implemented in the education sector or other relevant sectors, right, of these developing countries itself?
Okay, actually, I read somewhere very interestingly, compared to the US or the European markets, Asia is leading in investments in edutech, right? So in fact, though US and Europe claim to be a little, much more advanced, Asia is actually leading. Asia has invested much more than these countries, and they are investing more in edutech, in technology, especially in the field of education. So I think we are sort of leading right now. We're like co-founders right now, and they're still a little lagging behind in that sense. Maybe you can add in.
Jin, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think it's AI is quite the enabler in this instance. I think with the advent of mobile internet as well, it's allowing content to be delivered to not only desktops, and it's going to mobile phones as well. I know that mobile usage penetration in developing countries is far more than desktops, and that is an opportunity for learning to be delivered. And I'll be back to the point about utilizing transcription and translation tools that are really powerful nowadays and able to be done in real time. You can access quality content in the language of your choice. That's a great opportunity for that to happen. So that democratizes the knowledge transfer, I would say.
Thank you so much, Jane. So maybe let me just chime in as well, right, at this juncture. So basically, you are now listening to us. You have access to the internet. So if you have access to the internet, right, having access to AI, right, is just a matter of probably a click, right, and trying to figure out, which potential learning management systems will potentially be helpful for you. And this is how AI can then spread, right? So long as there is internet, right, you can definitely have access to, relevant AI that can help the education sector and help people to learn better, right, and grow better as well. So just as a, just to add on just a little bit more, right, some of the things that we have mentioned a little bit more about, right, with the new tools such as AI being assistant, right? AI being someone who can help to mark, and potentially even grade holistically, right? Some of the learners as well. So Android, right, actually has it as well. And I know if you do have internet, you definitely have access to it as well. Okay. Okay, so thank you for that question itself. So for the next question, just to open up the floor again, right? Would AI eventually access confidential information through deductions? Okay, it's a little bit more controversial topic, right? But I'm just opening the floor. If Jean or Dr. Sharanya would like to chime in.
So maybe I can talk in the sense of a university or point of view. So there's a lot of research happening there as well, and I think this is a very sensitive topic, especially the ethical part of the amount of data taken in, right? So there's definitely big data that's involved because there's always going to be a lot of students coming in, all their information is getting in. What information should be analyzed? What can they access? What should not be accessed? And even their research data, how much can they take in? How, it's still a bit of a gray area right now. I think more and more when things get more concrete in the sense of, as things evolve, I think all these ethical questions also will be answered. But I think right now it's still a bit of a gray area as to what, even when I say, knowing about the student, how much information are we going to take in from the student to know about them? And is it ethically right? The students have their, do they have the right over their data? So all these things are still out in the gray. So I think it still is evolving right now. Like I said, it's still in the developing stage.
Jean, do you want to add on? Right, thank you, Dr. Sharanya.
I'll probably just add that in any LMS system, I think it's important to ensure that we have user consent for information that we do solicit from them, and to be transparent and open as to why we require such information, either to aid their learning, to get to know your learning goals, or and to understand your learning preferences, so that we could then recommend the right content to you. So I think people might be a bit more open to sharing that details if they know how their information is going to be used, and under the strict agreement that we do have with them, it's only going to be used for those purposes. So yeah, I'll just say.
Right. Thank you so much, Jin. So I think we probably have run out of time, right? Just a little bit. Okay. Maybe we'll just take one last question, okay, which I think just came in. All right. It seems like AI and LMS are more suited for adult learning, andragogy, right? Will there be opportunities for pedagogy or even learning for people with special needs? So maybe I just open up the floor for either Dr. Sharanya or Jane to speak on this.
Absolutely. In fact, with the onset of online learning that's happening, especially because especially post-COVID, right? People who are not able to access special needs, yes, different genres of special needs, I know they are there. So people did not have access to education, or did not have access to a trainer or a learning system, or a learning environment, are now being able to access through these kind of LMS systems, where people, all they need is a computer and an internet connection, right? So yes, there are programs and there are tools that are designed for assisted learning for people with special needs, be it physical disability, be it some kind of a mental disability. It is addressing these concerns as well. And now with AI and this kind of a technology, it's getting easier for these people to be able to access education from wherever they are.
Maybe let me just quickly chime in on that as well. At this point in time, when we speak about AI and we talk about, using it in terms of a learning management system as well, all right, we would really talk about the idea that it is just meant to be a tool, isn't it? So being a tool, okay, it's definitely is going to have its limitations, especially, if it's a human, right, teaching and making use of the LMS itself. However, right, with now, right, large language models, right, and even something like ChatGPT, which is basically LLMs, okay, people with special needs are actually exposed to an even better way of learning. Why? Because the large language model would have infinite patience, right, to be able to teach people with special needs. So for people with special needs, their learning is going to be obviously a little bit stunted, right, and their learning curve, right, will be definitely a little bit longer, right, than the traditional normal people. So with LLMs, right, and this being integrated into learning management systems, right, definitely we can help, right, people with special needs, right, learn even better, right, given that, we have an assistant that would have not infinite wisdom, but infinite patience. Yeah. Okay, just to add on to that. Okay, so let me just very quickly answer some of the other questions as well. So we have a question talking about what sort of algorithms is actually used, right? Is it data structures? Actually, no, we use machine learning algorithms, right, in AI, right? And I think the confidentiality we actually mentioned as well. So AI do actually have some sort of guardrails that are in place that we can actually put in place as well, right? Especially, with a system and so on. So definitely, right, these guardrails, right, would help, with protection of data, right, and for learners, as well, who may fear them, AI would definitely, need to be guarded, right, by normal people as well. Okay, thank you everyone for joining in. Okay, maybe let me just very quickly ask Dr. Sharanya, right, and Jean to just have a quick closing statement, and then we call it a day. Right, Dr. Sharanya, can I have a closing statement, please?
Yes. So, with so much of discussion on the learning tools and AI and LMS, I think we should be in the right direction, and we should be embracing this technology. And whether it's you or it's going to assist you with your family members, I think it should be the new step towards the better world. I think AI is the future, and we need to learn how to make it a part of our life and not be afraid of it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jean.
Well, thanks for the discussion. I think I'm probably looking forward to the advances in this space, especially in the coming year. It seems like something new has been launched or being trialed, and multiple proofs of concepts are being shared online. So it's a great time to be a data scientist in this space. And yeah, we have to look to embracing this change. I think it's positive, like Sharanya said, and echo her sentiments, yeah, there as well.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in. Right, this conversation that we are having is definitely as part from our company Exaltius, which we are trying to make sure that we are sharing and getting the word out, right, on how AI can help with education itself. Right, just as a disclaimer, we are actually we have actually a learning management system that actually incorporates quite a fair bit of what we indicated here as well. Okay, so we are from Singapore, right, and we are a Singapore-based organization. So definitely, we look forward to hearing more from you all, right? And good night, good day, and good morning to you from wherever you are. All right, so thank you.
Thank you so